Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Frances Floresca Show. For those of you who don't know me, I am a policy analyst and reporter who has worked in Washington, D.C. and around the country. And my work and commentary have been featured in various outlets and organizations, including the Daily Wire, the Daily Signal, Fox News Radio, Real America's Voice, and One America News Network. And I have worked for various organizations or even interned for them and even done freelance opportunities with groups such as the Heritage Foundation, Independent Women's Forum, the Daily Caller, the Branch Media, and Herzog Foundation's The Lion. So yes, I've been everywhere. But today, I will want to talk about a very interesting subject about pageantry and service. So right now, the contestants for Miss Universe, the largest pageant system in the world, are currently in Mexico City right now to compete for the coveted crown. But pageantry is obviously more than just about winning a crown and wearing a swimsuit and having a sash. And as a pageant girl myself, I know sash means service, and I love being able to find ways to make a difference in my community. And today I am going to be talking to Miss Lydia Fisher, who is a fellow pageant queen from Tennessee, and she is also doing the Miss Volunteer America system. We will be chatting about how our platforms have included service opportunities where we have been involved in public policy and service. Then we will also talk about the current reigning Miss Universe and her current situation. Hey, Lydia, it's good to have you on here.
Very good to be here.
Yeah, so Lydia, you are from Tennessee, but you are currently Miss Michigan Volunteer. Can you first explain to us what the volunteer system is and how it is different from other pageant systems such as Miss America and Miss USA, Miss Universe, for those of you who really don't know the pageant world?
Yes, absolutely. Miss Volunteer America is a scholarship pageant based out of Jackson, Tennessee, run by Allison DeMarcus, as well as the many people on the board. Miss Volunteer America is kind of the classic spin on pageantry. It first came along in around 2018. It started just as Miss Tennessee Volunteer. They did not intend on having a national pageant, but there was so much demand and so much excitement and momentum going behind the pageant that Allison DeMarcus thus founded the Miss Volunteer America system in February of 2020. Now, like many pageant systems, we stand behind 5 pillars, which we call SERVE. It's an acronym for scholarship, empowerment, responsibility, volunteerism, and education. And what I think just stands out most about it is how they just expect young women to be exactly who they are, and they just meet them where they are and help them have the right tools that they need to pursue their career goals. If you've ever looked through the Miss Volunteer America prize package, there's so many opportunities, including a record deal, a meeting with major brands, as well as sponsors. So there's a lot of excitement and just enthusiasm with Miss Volunteer America, and I'm very excited to see where it grows.
I really love the volunteer system. Granted, I have never even competed in it, but I love how there are so many service opportunities as well as brand deals. You're kind of a brand ambassador, bit of a
Yes.
model, and you're also
Yes.
doing service opportunities, which we don't see a lot in pageantry. Maybe a Miss America system, but we don't see as much of the other things in some of the other systems because Ms. Volunteer, as new as it is, it has grown so quickly. And
Yes.
I love that you're able to do that. And I'm excited for you to compete at Miss Volunteer America next June, correct?
That is correct. It's June
Mhm.
18th to the 21st at the Carl Perkins Civic Center. And you mentioned that Miss Volunteer America, she is a brand ambassador for service organizations. We have the opportunity of partnering on a national level with the Salvation Army as well as St. Jude. And St. Jude, it just hits really close to home to me because I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, which is where the hospital was founded by Danny Thomas. And of course, I'm Miss Michigan Volunteer, but a small little connection there. Even though I'm from Tennessee and I'm pursuing online school in Michigan, that's how I became Miss Michigan Volunteer. Michigan is where Danny Thomas, who is an entertainer, actor, musician, was born. So it's just kind of a nice little small world connection there.
You know, what's crazy about pageantry, there's just so many connections and people you meet that help you change your life and your career. So It's kind of funny how we kind of fall in those same circles of pageantry and politics and policy. So it's been really fun to see how we've been able to connect and how we've been able to connect with other pageant girls as well. So, can you tell us about what inspired you to compete in pageantry? Tell us about your platform and what service opportunities as well as public policy work have you done surrounding it?
It's been about a 16-year journey. I grew up watching pageants. I never was one of those little toddlers and tiara babies. I wasn't growing up competing in pageants, but I would watch the pageant every year. There was a family friend of mine who is a Miss Mississippi America, and she was second runner up at Miss America. She won swimsuit. She just was a person who inspired me to be able to want to do that, because when I watch those women on stage, seeing what they do, being so beautiful, elegant, and just everything I believe women should encompass, I thought one day that's going to be me. And she was one of my biggest encouragers of doing that one day. But I didn't compete in my first local pageant until about 2018. And it's been about a 6-year journey, or no, 6-year journey, because I am 26. And I started about 6 years ago. So I was 20 at the time, but it was
You've been
a
doing
lot of
this so
growth.
much longer than
I
me.
I was not like I'm tell I was not good at interview. It was a very solid uphill journey there for me, but because I've been able to put myself out there and gain all these opportunities that give me the chance to flex those muscles, so you will, not just in the gym, I can just stand here confidently knowing who I am and just being who I am by talking with you, whether I'm talking with our senators, our congressmen. I just know how capable I am, all thanks to pageantry.
Absolutely. I think I asked this already, but explain to us your platform and some of the your public policy work you've done, because I know what you've talked about your platform a little to me in the past, but definitely for our viewers, I'm sure they'd love to know a little more about what you experienced doing that.
So I wouldn't call my platform non-traditional, but it has a lot of causes that I'm very heartfelt about. It's called Lydia's Light, where I stand for the causes that I care about, which started as empowering children with learning disabilities. I grew up with a learning disability myself that I felt inhibited me and held me back for so long, that I just want to be able to shine a light on our children in our classrooms, that they're not dumb. They just see the world in a whole different way than many of us do, and that makes them so much more intelligent than they think. So when I'm going into these classrooms and sharing my story, and just to be very careful, I never want a child to go home and start diagnosing themselves with ADHD. So you got to be very, what's the word for that? You have to be very intentional about your words and making sure that they understand that the thing that makes them different is what makes them so special. And then another policy that I'm very passionate about is regarding veterans issues. My family has partnered with the Shelby County Veterans Court, which is our local veterans court that has been helping veterans who've gotten into a bit of trouble, not in anything serious, but getting them on the right path when they come back home from their service. Because you are part of a military family. Your husband has just gone home from serving overseas. So you know firsthand how that affects people when they come back, that we don't really have a safety net for our veterans. So I do everything I can to be of service to our men and women in arms.
I absolutely love that you do that. And I just love your platform so much. And I mean, it's also our platforms are pretty similar in a way, except mine encompasses more of school choice as well as helping military families. And it is so important to serve those families and ensure every child gets that education that they need best. So I also see your photos and videos all the time of just being involved in the community. And I definitely want to share a few of these photos and videos if you'd love to hear
Yes,
more.
this photo was taken last year at the Jackson, Tennessee Veterans Day Parade. I'm pictured here with the gentleman. He was in the Coast Guard. So just getting to meet with him and just hearing about his service was a very rewarding experience. Like, you just look at these men and just see that they're heroes. They're willing to put their lives on the line for our country. So to be able to give back and shine a light on their experiences. That's an event that I really carry with me, and I'm very excited to make one of my first appearances coming up in Jackson as Miss Michigan volunteer again at this year's parade.
That's so wonderful. And we'll show some photos, just overlay over us here. You with the Salvation Army, you on stage.
I love
And
that gown.
I love
I love
this
that
photo
gown
of
too.
you. Uh-huh. And then, of course, we have that one video of you where you are at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I really love that you've been able to advocate for these causes as we've talked about. And I also know you have advocated for legislation and talked to elected officials about your platform. Tell us how you've been able to do that. And has anything come out of those? Have any bills been introduced, or have you been able to speak on legislation?
I believe the most unique aspect of being a title holder that there are people. I don't want to say it's a way of getting through the front of the line, but just having this platform, it gives you that boost to get into the room with these powerful people. They just see this crown and this sash, and you just have this aura about you that, yes, I'm a pageant girl, but here is what's important. Here is what we should be looking at. It gives you people to look at, chance to look at you, but you just see there's so much more going on. I don't know how to describe it, but then
Sometimes things are just unexplainable.
things are unexplainable. When I was in DC and meeting with one of the aides in Senator Haggerty's office, so Senator Bill Haggerty, who's the senator for Tennessee, one of his aides, he told me there is a man who is trying to get a bill passed for 12 years. And I don't have any specific bills that I've introduced personally, but I've been taking a look at Senator Marsha Blackburn's policy regarding VA benefits. With the Shelby County Veterans Court, they're very serious about getting people who have served the services from the VA that they didn't realize that they had. So there's a lot of bureaucratic tape that goes
Mhm.
into just getting simple benefits such as your health care. There are veterans who have to change their doctors every 5 seconds. So it's just so much unstable ground that I hope we can solve in the coming years.
Absolutely. And I've had opportunities to advocate for legislation myself. And I even encouraged the introduction of a bill that a US Senator had that opportunity to introduce earlier this year related to military families, and especially to ensure that the service member does not have to be deployed during the first year of their child's life. Very bipartisan issue. So, this is proof that us queens can truly make a difference. And speaking of making a difference, you and I are both conservative queens, and we have come across many different walks of life. With the election day coming up soon, how has pageantry taught you to be respectful of people you do not agree with, especially when it comes to public policy?
My dad always reminds me there's a lot more that we have in common than we have not. One of my very best friends, she leans more liberal, but there's so much more that brings us together as friends than what tears us apart. She's very intelligent, and she can educate me on things because she works in policy as well that I wouldn't be able to understand because you have way more experience talking on the subjects than I do. I'm still learning, I'm still being open. And that's just what being someone who is in politics as well as pageantry, it teaches you to listen to people's stories because I would say that a lot of people's politics are based on their experience. Like you, of a military family, this has been your experience, and this is probably somebody else's experience about. You mentioned having a family member being deployed in the first year of their child's life. That is what drives you to be able to speak on this and to make perfect change.
And of course, public policy is very important when it comes to changing lives and helping people. But let's also talk about this and switching gears for a moment. What happens when policy and government is against you and harms you? Let's talk about Shayna's Palacios, the current reigning Miss Universe, and she is about to give up her crown in a few weeks here. Do you think that Shayna's Palacios will ever be able to go back to her home country of Nicaragua? For those of you who don't know, the Nicaraguan government has been a little crazy. They've been cracking down on people who don't agree with them. Granted, that's a lot of authoritarian countries right now. And President Daniel Ortega of Nicaragua originally went from applauding Sheamus's win to eventually arresting family members of the director of the Miss Nicaragua pageant. And in 2018, Sheamus Palacios attended an anti government rally, making the government pretty angry. And at this rally, I just remember hearing people waving the Nicaraguan flag, which is supposedly associated with anti government protests that swept through the country. And apparently, Sheamus waved the flag, which, as we said, did anger President Ortega and the government. So Sheamus has also not been back in Nicaragua since winning Miss Universe. So, Lydia, given the Nicaraguan government's crackdown on people who disagree with its nation's leaders, how does Sheamus's situation illustrate the broader impact of public policy on individual freedoms, particularly for those who are in the public eye?
Well, if anything, this has proven that Sheamus is, when she won, she basically became the country, the people's Katniss Everdeen. She is a symbol of hope and unity, that so many people can achieve something. They can have this opportunity to express themselves. I think of platform and pageantry as a platform for freedom of expression. We in the United States value our freedom of expression, whether you lean liberally, whether you lean conservatively, or right down the middle. You have the right to express yourself and bring attention to the things that are most important to you. So this is not the first time that a pageant queen has been outright banned from her country or hasn't had the opportunity to return. I believe it was 2020 when Myanmar had their coup, that Miss Myanmar had to express her opinion. She expressed it through the costume. You know how Miss Universe, they have their national costume contest, and when she did that, which was an act of bravery, she has not been able to return to her own country either. So, like, when you're asking, should Sheamus return to her country one day, I believe only time will tell. But it just shows that God put her in that opportunity for a reason.
How have you basically seen Sheamus and these other queens fight for their countries? And can you eventually see Sheamus make a change in her country, especially with her status as Miss Universe? And who knows, she may even be running for office someday or challenge President Ortega or kind of just be a voice for change in her country.
How full circle would that be? I say the example she has set, how you just see her go to all these countries. She's probably the most well-traveled Miss Universe we've had in a very long time, and how she's just been able to embrace many cultures so respectfully. I think with the worldview that she's gained, it'll give her so much more experience in the future to one day run for office, and we'll be all right behind her when that happens. So just that maturity, that gracefulness, she just has that. I said, or like I said, I say aura a lot. She just has that glow about her. One of my favorite videos of hers when she didn't get to have her homecoming in Nicaragua for obvious reasons. So they had one for her in Miami, Florida. So being able to see her, this one video where she is encouraging this one little girl and embracing this little girl that one day she wants to be a queen like you, and she's speaking in Spanish. It's just so beautiful and elegant, and that's just what you want to encompass. You want to encourage the young people that this can be you one day, whether it's wearing a crown, whether it's running a business, running a country, being a mother. You are just capable of so many things and can be elevated to this status. And that's what pageantry has done. It's just given women a platform and a whole celebrity status from the moment they are crowned, and how they're able to just flow into that role just so effortlessly is so inspiring to me.
And pageantry is such a great way to make a difference. And Sheamus is truly a wonderful ambassador for the people of her country and the world who want freedom, as well as for many other countries. And just being able to represent your nation, you truly are an ambassador of that country or a celebrity. While let's just say here in the United States, we're like, oh, pageants, that's cute. And
Yeah.
don't you wish that our country kind of took pageantry more seriously?
Yeah, we
Pageant girls here in the United States and all over the world have done big things and not just become models. I mean, pageantry, a lot of those women become models, but they had done so much more. They are world ambassadors, and a lot have become politicians. As you mentioned, Marsha Blackburn, another fellow pageant queen,
exactly.
and their world
Sarah Palin.
changers. Yeah, Sarah
We
Palin.
win.
So many of them. I don't know. There's just so many of them. I just can't even think of their names off the top of my head. Business owners and so much more. So, how can the United States make so much more change where they start to treat pageant queens as ambassadors and representatives of their country to the world? And as we know, we've got some people who are making a change in pageantry. We've got Maddie Marsh as Miss America, and she is in the Air Force, and then Alma Cooper, who is Miss USA, who is currently at Miss Universe, and she is in the Army.
Well, I'd say crowning those women has been a bit of a game changer for showing, yes, we are so much more than crown and sash. And at the same, there's so many ideas I could think of that could bring more people into the cultural enthusiasm that is pageantry, but just we are a very independent thinking country. You're not going to get everybody to think the same way about pageantry, because we were talking about it a couple of days ago when the contestants were arriving in Mexico, how they were all the people in the public eye were waving the flag and just treating them like queens, and we just don't we see the glitz and glam here in the United States when we have these big pageants, but it's just more of a marketing situation. And Miss Universe, they've really brought back, I would say, the Trump era a bit of marketing their pageant girls, showing how they embrace the cultures, how they're just women of the world. There's so many things I could think of, but it's just time will tell. You just have to have the right leadership, the right mindset, the right vision to be able to give the public a way of inviting them in and being a part of the cultural revolution, I believe, is American pageantry.
We need to treat it the same level as the Olympics. These women train as Olympians, but they're not only preparing for the sport and being on stage, they're also preparing to represent their countries and represent the world, which, is the goal of the Olympics and which should also be the goal of pageantry, especially on the international level.
Yeah, we need how Alona Mar and Steven Nedorozic they're currently on Dancing with the Stars. I believe Shandy Finnessy, who is a Miss USA, went on Dancing with the Stars and had all these brand deals come afterwards. You just need that right person to put into that position, and they'll lead the charge. The people in charge of the pageant will lead the charge, and people will just follow. You just have to have the right person and spokesmodel for that. Like volunteer, we're still growing, we're still expanding our presence as a system. And let me give a shout out to my girl Berkeley Bryant, who's Miss Volunteer America for this cycle. She will be giving up her crown. I'll be competing for her job, fingers crossed, in June. And she has been such a game changer for this system. She's traveled to DC herself. She's worked with our senators. She's been working tirelessly with St. Jude and the Salvation Army, traveling to all these state pageants. And she's just been giving so many opportunities to show we are a force to be reckoned with. We are the pageant of tomorrow while honoring the past traditions of pageantry with the glitz and the glam and the big hair, all those things that go into it. We'll also be out serving in the soup kitchen. We'll also be out reading to children. We'll be doing other things that help a little bit more kindness in the world, which is what we need. And I think that although I'm not originally from Michigan, I have this unique opportunity before me to be able to show young women in Michigan or across the country, as well as a state ambassador for this program, that you have a place here in the volunteer system.
I think every woman should do pageantry, whether or not they stick with it for a long time or not. Obviously, there are systems that are bigger than others and there are systems that are smaller. I just think it's a great opportunity for women to find who they are and find their way to serve others, because pageantry, it's crazy. It opens doors that you would never be able to imagine in life, because I had no idea that I could be more on TV. I could be more talking about certain issues. Obviously, granted, I have had those opportunities on TV, on radio, but I think pageantry expanded that world a whole lot more for me.
Yeah, I would say that pageantry it brought more career opportunities for me as well. Like I've had the opportunity to work in radio. I have this dream to work in communications and entertainment. And Miss Volunteer America, whoever wins this coming year, gains $50,000 in scholarships. So that would present an opportunity should I win, or should I gain just as many scholarships from just competing? From just stepping on that stage, I'll win a lot of scholarship money. So I would have the opportunity to go pursue grad school. I have my BFA in musical theater from the University of Memphis. But my dream now, being able to connect with you and working in media, I found this is something I want to do. I would love to work in public relations, see if I can get my feet wet with policy myself. And I would have the opportunity to pursue schools that weren't presented to me because funding and scholarships. I was able to pursue my college debt free, but with the scholarships I gain, I can go to any school practically where I want, because college is expensive.
It definitely is, but those opportunities have opened so many doors for women. We see, we were talking about her yesterday, 2016 Miss America, Georgia. You literally sent me a photo of her yesterday, thinking of her
Betty
name.
Cantrell, yes, she's one of my favorites.
And I just see these women, they run for office, they become world ambassadors, they go to the Olympics.
Cheerleaders.
Have any pageant girls gone to the Olympics? I feel like they would have at this point, but I don't know at this point. Who knows?
Who
They're
knows?
pretty
We
physically
just had our
strong.
first. We just had our first active duty Miss America win. So let's see if that keeps happening down the line. We see an athlete Miss America.
Active duty, military for both Miss America and Miss USA. They're just bringing this change to pageantry in the United States because they are truly going to be those world changers and nation changers. And I do have to close now because this is getting pretty long. And I loved having you on here, Lydia, and I hope we can have you on again. This podcast is focused on policy and how we can change the world. And there are really cool ways to do it, including pageantry. So I hope to talk to more people about how they've been able to make a difference in public policy. And this has been the first episode of the Frances Floresca Show. Again, thank you to Lydia Fisher for coming on to talk to me about where policy and pageantry can come together. And Lydia, can you tell us where people can follow you on social media?
Yes, absolutely. If you would like to follow me along personally, I have my personal Instagram page at Lydia F. Fisher. My semi-pageant page is Miss Lydia Fisher. And if you want to follow along my journey to the Miss Volunteer America stage, be sure to follow Miss Michigan Volunteer. That's at Miss M.I. Vol. And I hope that I wish you all the best in your pageantry journey as well. And thank you so much for having me to be able to speak on these opportunities that have been bestowed upon me from competing, as well as giving a voice to young women in pageantry who are on the conservative side, but still want to change the world.
And make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Frances Ann Flo. That is FranceSanneflo. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. It is very new, so the more subscribers and viewers, the better. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. It is very new, so the more subscribers and viewers, the better. And comment below if you have any further questions or if there's someone you would like me to invite or another topic you'd like to hear.